We saw a house that was being renovated nearby, and we saw that it was quite an interesting design. And so I mentioned it to Sally, and I think you took it from there.
Yeah, it was similar constraints on the site, and so we thought, well, they are already tackling something like that in the neighbourhood, and so we did a bit of research, and then we found them and looked at all their other work, and we're like, okay, this could definitely be a really good option for us. As an architect, I think it's probably, it's the ultimate thing that you want to do always. And I don't do residential architecture in my profession. And so it's a chance to kind of flex those muscles in a way that you don't get to do at work. We had plans for our previous house, which was a terrace. And so that was going to get pretty complicated pretty quick. When we bought this house, I mean, every house we were looking at needed renovation. And it was just something that we'd always planned. Took probably a bit longer.
We had this in the works for about 7 years or more. So we had long sort of vision of sort of doing our own house. So,
and lots of different ideas as well.
Yes, it changed a few times. So
I think it's something that you always want to do as an architect. I don't do houses for a living, so it was just an opportunity to really flex that design muscle. We had always planned when we moved here and in our previous house to do some kind of renovation. It probably ended up bigger than we would have originally planned, but we lived here for 7 years or so before we actually kind of bit the bullet and went ahead. So it was, it's the biggest thing you ever do. So you want to get it right, and we took our time.
Yes.
Well, I took my time. For me, the big one was the willingness and ability to collaborate. Architects and builders notoriously don't always get along, and so respect was always a big thing for me as well. I wanted to have builders that I could work with because I don't have all the answers, and this is their area of expertise. So I wanted builders that could bring that and were willing to really come on the journey with us. So that was really important for me.
I guess we wanted sort of more confidence that we were going to get something that we sort of were planning on. So I think we felt that we could get closer to that vision with the guys, Adam and Craig. So that gave us some confidence in that.
So we obviously had plans, and we talked to them for a long time actually before we moved into that phase. I'd been in touch with Adam, and we'd talked through the plans a bit, and he'd given us a bit of an idea of what we were looking at, and then we went away and decided whether that was something that we could bite off. It actually really helped us to define that we were ready to make that big step. Then when we started looking in earnest, they took us to a building site, so a project that wasn't finished, and a project that was finished and had been finished for a couple of years. We did that on the same day, and the experience of going onto the building site for me was actually pretty much sealed the deal. I was pretty much over the line already. Going on that building site, there were just lots of things on that building site that indicated to me that they were well organised, and that not only were they respectful, but their team were also really, really respectful. I go on building sites a lot, and so I know all the ways that builders can hide stuff they don't want you to look at. But the site was tidy. The boys were, willing to have a chat with us. They were, really smart and intelligent and funny, and they were sort of, talking us through stuff. And when you can see the framing of a building, you can actually see where the shortcuts are, and there weren't any. And so that was really good for us to be able to see that, and that really just sort of cemented the fact that we were making the right decision. And then the boys priced the project, and then we went through some, that's a bit more, what can we what can we cut out, what can we do later? And that's always really important, and they just worked through that with us. We didn't have to do that on our own. We settled on the deal, and then we got everything happening. And then it was all very real very quickly. So we were on. So we went with a budget and a plan, and he said, they're probably not really aligned. Here's what we think. That was probably 12 months actually. And there were, touch points along the way, and then I refined the planning and the detailing actually. And we sort of went through the structural engineering because we hadn't done that yet. So we went to them with the concept and said, this is what we want to do, this is how much we want to spend. And then actually their advice helped us refine it to a point where we could actually build it. We had friends who were building at the same time. And so, and they were happy with their builder. And we went through that process, but he was, in terms of professional practice, they were just streets apart.
Yeah, so there was an additional confidence we had in Adam and Craig.
The problem that we had is the other quote he gave us was quite different, but then he said, oh, when you're ready for a real price, let me know. We already had a real price, and it was very clear. There were lots of questions from the boys. They had really gone through the project. They really understood it. Whereas this guy, I think, had just done a back of the envelope sort of thing. And we'd made it very clear that we were tendering. And so that also helped, because we knew that we were being taken seriously and that they were ready. They knew what they wanted to do. We'd been through that earlier process with Adam and Craig, and so we knew that the first estimate, and I knew professionally, the first estimate is not where you end up. We didn't feel like he was taking us seriously at that point. So
yeah, I think once more detail came into it, the price probably would have gone up, that quote. So
yeah,
I think we were sort of in the same sort of ballpark once all things were considered. So
yeah, because he also had a lot of exclusions, and you know, the boys didn't have those.
It's a bit rushed, especially when you have to make a lot of decisions, stay ahead of the guys. So you know, don't want to delay them a bit. But, so.
And of course we moved out because they were, you know, basically knocking down 3/4 of the house, and so we had to do all that as well. I guess also we'd taken so long to get there, and then suddenly it's like, right, okay, we're on, and it almost didn't seem real for a long time. It's like, oh, actually, we've talked about it for so long, but actually doing it now.
I think one of the big challenges was we had to agree on things, so like all the fixtures and things. So,
the kids got really good at going tile shopping. They really loved doing that.
It was very methodical, like site meetings we'd go to, and so everything was sort of well planned and thought of ahead of time. So it's really good at that.
They always had a program of what's coming up. They were happy to have us come to site as much, well, probably not as much as we would have wanted, because that would be every day, but they were happy for us to come to site and just see what was happening. We've both been on building sites, so we understood what we needed to do when we were here and how we needed to behave. But that was really good, particularly for me, because I had to sort of wear two hats. It was kind of like the homeowner, but then the architect, and what are the questions that are coming up that I need to respond to, and things like that. But yeah, it was really smooth, surprisingly smooth, to be frank, because you hear horror stories about this stuff all the time. But yeah, they were just ringing me up. Hey, we need to talk about this. Can you come tomorrow? Sure. Pop in the morning and, just work through it. The best thing for me is that they never came to me with a problem they didn't have a potential solution for. And so they were coming to me with, here's the problem, here's what we think we can do, how does that fit? And, 9 times out of 10, because they understood what we were trying to achieve, their potential solutions were actually spot on. So that was really good. I think we were pretty lucky. I mean, we didn't really have any problems as such. We had small details, and Paul trusted me to make the decisions that fit in with what we had planned together, because it's not like I'd gone away and locked myself in a room and designed the house in a vacuum. The most involved client ever. Sometimes good, not always.
Sometimes too much.
And so I think that he was there all the way through. So, and I think he understands how buildings go together anyway, because we've done renovations ourselves and bits and pieces anyway. So it's not like he just can't visualise things in 3D. That part wasn't hard, so we could just sort of work through that. Every 2 weeks we'd have a site meeting. And, Paul was here as well, and if we had a particular thing that we needed to work through, they would sort of walk us through it on site, and so that really helps. Yeah,
and we had like regular meetings and minutes, and so it's very professional from that point of view. So
we could keep track. Right towards the end, one of our suppliers went into liquidation, and we had no idea. And it was 2 days before they were due to come and do the fit off, and Adam was on holidays, and he rang me. I'm like, oh, aren't you supposed to be overseas having a nice holiday? And he's like, yeah, so there's a bit of a problem. And he explained the problem, and so I went away and did a bit of research and discovered that the firm was in liquidation. And so they had already started started trying to figure out what we could do about it. And the particular problem was the supplier, the way the house had been set up was for that particular product. So we couldn't just sub in another product. It's a product that is the only product in Australia. And so that was the most stressful 2 weeks of the project. We were 2 weeks away from moving in. We had to extend our lease where we were living. We had to do all sorts of stuff. And there was just a lot of, they were trying things on their end. I was making some calls. We were sort of coming together and what can we do? How about we do this? And we got it, in the end, we made it work, and we got, you know, with in a lot of ways was lucky because the liquidation process was coming to its end anyway, but we had no idea. And so we were able to get our product, which was ready sitting in a factory, just had to be put in. We were able to get it released. We of course had to pay more money, but that's because the company that had bought the supplier wouldn't release it without us paying more. So that's just life. That's the way it goes. And we got what we wanted, and you know, we only lost 2 weeks, which is amazing. And
Adam and Craig sort of organised for the install to use their guys, so it was sort of more in control that way.
And for Adam to call me from holidays, I was like, oh, no, this is probably not going to be good. None of us saw it coming, and it was, you know, nobody could do anything, so we just roll with it and work away to the solution. It's important to note that it was our heating, not just a tap or something that we could have just chosen something else. It was our heating for the whole house. It was pretty full on.
The sites were always clean at the end of the day, so it seemed like a very tidy operation and well in control. It was a happy building site. They were really good with the kids. So that was really good from that point of view. It's comfortable now, so it's a really nice feeling. We've always got projects sort of on the go.
Little bits and pieces.
Keeping busy, but it's sort of a nice place to be, so it's good to relax here. The centre of the house is sort of where we eat, where we sort of relax and cook, so it's where we spend most of our time in the back here. So.
Yeah, that's right, which was the point. Yeah. We wanted to make sure that we had a living space where we could be doing different things but all be together, and it's working out so far. We'll see when the kids get a bit older if that continues. We do get the occasional late night.
Oh yes.
One of them watching TV from the top of the stairs where they think that we can't see them, but that's probably a design fault. It's great, and a lot of the things that we put a lot of time and a lot of money into, like the windows and those sustainable ideas that we've put into the house about being able to open the windows at night and purge out hot air, and we do that all the time now. It's just, and even the kids, like everybody understands, oh, it's cool outside, let's open all the windows, and we flush all the hot air out. So it's working exactly how I thought it would work, which is a relief. It's always good to kind of see that coming together. And my favourite part of my job is actually seeing buildings come out of the ground. And so I loved that part, but then being able to live in it forever is kind of the icing on the cake, really. You know, it's doing everything we wanted it to do for now, and you know, it might change when the kids get bigger. But for now, I think it's doing everything that we hoped it would. I think that there's probably something about the detailing that we might have been convinced to do things differently, and what the site team, as well as Adam and Craig, were able to do was to try and understand what we were trying to achieve, and they were really able and willing to make suggestions that fit with that. And so it might not have been exactly what I had planned, but it worked with the overall. And particularly because we're trying to marry the old front of the house with the new, we were really clear about where those things needed to come together and how we wanted them to go. And as soon as they understood that, they were absolutely on board. One really great story is all of our tapware is black in the house, and we just couldn't find the pop down sink that we wanted. I couldn't find it anywhere. And I turned up to site one day, and so we'd sort of conceded, okay, it's going to have to be stainless or something. And I turned up to site one day, and the plumber, he was all pleased with himself, and he pulled out this black pop-down stop. I was over the moon, and he was really chuffed because the team had conveyed to him how important it was to us. I'd never met this guy before, and here he was, proud of himself the first time he's met me because he's done something that he's been told is really important to us. That was a moment where I just went, yeah, okay, they're totally getting what we're trying to do here. And on board, not just, oh, they really want this thing, let's see what we can do, but let's not bust our chops trying to find it. But they absolutely pulled out everything and made it happen. And in fact, another story about taps, black taps, a bit problematic. The first lot of taps that we had ordered arrived, and they came straight here, and the site manager pulled them out to check them over, and there was all sorts of problems with the finish. And so he was straight on the phone to me, and he said, you're not going to be happy with these taps, you've got to come and check them out. And so, yeah, after work that day, I came and checked them out. He was still here, we went through the issues, and then we sent them back and got new taps. And I think a lot of builders probably would have firstly not gone to the effort of inspecting the goods when they arrived, but also taking note of what they felt was going to be important to us and pointing it out instead of just, oh, the taps are here, let's just put them in. So I think that we probably would have got a similar result, but probably not this result. Something that really made me really appreciate how hard they work is the conversations that Adam and I would have about how they manage and develop the team and their skills. And because I manage teams as well in my job, it was really interesting to me to know that he was taking a similar path, and that he could recognise that developing the team was really important to developing the business, and that I could tell that they treat their team really well because the team are always really happy and are doing a good job. And if they're doing a good job, then they're keeping us happy. And so Adam and Craig really understood that that's what their business is about, and it really comes through. We had the open for inspection the night before handover, and obviously I've got a lot of friends who are architects, and they were all, pick me, I want to come too. And so a couple of those friends have since used the team on their projects. And I think that that's a really great method for the community around the team to be able to sort of, be part of it. The team brought their parents. We met the mums and dads of our carpenter, and were able to talk to them and show them what their son was doing and how much we appreciated it. And I think that that's really important for their team to be able to bring their family and their friends in as well, which is just a great thing. We've been to a couple of open houses since, and I think that's a really good way to strengthen, the idea of that they are really building a family of, cult members, if you like, who have had these guys, make such an impact on their life by building their house.